Hey, we made it. Yes, we're late. We're sorry. But we're here. That's what matters.
Made it happen.
It's a Monday.
We've got a streak now of like 3 weeks in a row where we had some kind of technical difficulty. It was just your time to make it happen. I'm glad it happened on your channel this time.
Yep. It happened on my channel the very first time when you and Steve were both, you had your power outage and Steve had a meltdown. And, you know, but we power through it and we get the thing going. You know what I mean?
It's Monday. This is when this kind of stuff happens, and that's exactly what this live stream is for, so that we can hammer through them.
Absolutely. So, Steve, how was your weekend, young man?
It's good, and I want to talk about that later because I tend to get long-winded about stuff. So let's let everybody else get theirs in first.
Yeah, this is the quick little intro of our weekends, not the full discussion. Grant, what you had going on this weekend?
We had a couple softball games this week, and it was hot, so I didn't go fishing. I stayed in the house for the most part. It was a long week out in the hot sun, but I did get some gardening done and some other yard work and stuff done. But I'll try it again. Try to go sometime this week. A chance.
Nice, Mr. Stanley Orchard.
I look forward to seeing that, Grant, especially nowadays. We are gearing up for our trip to Michigan and Wisconsin and everywhere up there. So I want to know everything that you got as far as fishing. I need some Grant McIntosh videos so that I know what I'm doing when I get up there. I just got done with a week of doing a little bit of shark fishing with the family down here, and I managed to walk away with 9 videos filmed over the course of a week. So my summer is going. We're going.
You doing good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I am still in the hell that is bathroom renovation. So I'm going to say hey to Jeff Bottoms, right? Nicholas Poulat, Outdoors. Nick's in the house, right trappings. And anybody I didn't say see Proficient's in the house. My boy from down in Florida, Danny Baker's here. And I want to do a quick intro. There's this young lady that just happens to be my granddaughter, my favorite granddaughter of all granddaughters. And she is an aspiring YouTuber. She's got the camera. She's got the green screen. She's got the lights. So she wants to be a YouTuber. So I'm going to have her. And then her brother, my favorite grandson of all time, Jackson, they're both getting ready to hit the road tomorrow, or actually hit the airplane and head up to Mom's in Connecticut. So this is the last time they're going to be here for a while. So I'm going to let you guys all meet them. Come on in, guys.
Hi.
Hey.
There you go.
Good to see you guys.
Avery, what kind of channel are you going to have?
I'm going to have probably maybe a gaming channel, kind of.
Gaming channel?
Or maybe like when we go on like somewhere fun, like a hiking trail or zoo, I'm going to bring my camera and we're going to film that maybe.
Are you going to include this guy right here?
Yes.
So what kind of name are you looking at?
J&A Siblings.
J&A Siblings. So the Avery, Jackson, and Avery. Okay. I like it. That's a good name. You got anything you want to tell everybody?
No.
Jackson doesn't want to be a star. He's going to be a WWE wrestler, but he doesn't want to be famous yet. So he doesn't want to be on camera much, right?
To know the second this channel gets started, because we have TubeBuddy has some stuff for you. The second that channel is put together and you got a single video out, we've got some TubeBuddy stuff for you.
Oh, there you go. He works for TubeBuddy. So that will help you out a lot.
Okay.
All right. Anything else you guys want to say before I kick you out of here?
We will do everything that we can.
Awesome.
Bye.
All right. Bye, guys. All right.
Speaking
you guys
of
control. I'm going to shut the
Speaking of-
door and kick them out.
Speaking of favorite granddaughters, John, mine just got in here. Hi, Ava.
That's yours?
Hey, Ava.
Ava.
Ava's in the house. What's up
Alliance
with the
NBA.
A's? Ava, we got all kinds of A's around here.
It's
All right.
18.
Can you hear me still?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sounding good.
All right. Who's else here? So we got Ava in the house. C-Pro's still here. Man, C-Pro, you came in early tonight. I'm like, he must not have much to do today. He was bored and decided, you know what? I'll go over and check out the outdoors crew.
He just said he's headed out. Have a great show. So he's headed out to go fishing.
See you, Wayne.
Oh, man.
Good luck, man.
Late start.
He's probably do some night fishing. I know they like getting them tarpon at night.
Oh,
Yeah, he's
man.
talking about snook too.
They're getting into all kinds of fish in Florida right now.
Yeah, he's getting the real stuff.
The wind is still kicking their butts now and then, but they'll be all right. All right, so Stanley, what you got to talk about, brother? I know you had a topic
Okay.
to talk about.
I do have a topic, and I'm kind of curious. And I'm glad that we have like Danny Baker. I wish we had Wayne in this for a little bit longer, but I'm kind of curious your thoughts on this because I'm a little opinionated on this, and this is actually a Rachel topic. But I'm going to jump on this anyway. So, the city of Corpus Christi recently put out a request. Like they're not hammering down on the laws or anything, but they put out a request that people kick over their sandcastles when they're done because it is causing a problem for the wildlife and for people driving on the beach.
Doesn't
And
the waves wash the sand castles down?
yes, it does.
When they get that high, depending on where you put it.
Oh, okay.
Now,
I personally, there's so much ridiculous with this, in my opinion, and I'm taking the side of like, seriously, this is the thing that we're going to make a deal about. This is a snowflake discussion, in my opinion. There are some arguments for the other side of it. I give some validity to that, but 99% of the time, we're talking about something that stands about 6 inches down by the seashore. There's other things to be worried about.
so
We're talking about sandcastles.
here's my take on it. The media said sandcastles and showed pictures of sandcastles, but that's not what Padre Island National Seashore was talking about, just sandcastles. They were talking about people digging big trenches, which happens, I see it, which becomes a hazard, pulling lumber up into the way of traffic depending on how high the tide is, because you think you got it high enough the day you're there, but then we get a high tide and that's where people have to drive and you got logs and stuff. So really my take on it was they were saying, look, whatever you do, put it back the way it was when you got there so it doesn't mess up other people's enjoyment of the beach. But I think the media, that, you know, one part of it was a sandcastle that had a moat around it. And so
I saw that.
yeah, that was the main picture of the whole
That
story.
is not the sandcastle that's typically made. You know what I mean?
No,
You're talking
you're right.
That was like a 6 foot by 6 foot by 4 foot high sandcastle with this big moat built up like right by where the road is. That's not what we're normally looking at with sandcastles.
No. And I'll be in my opinion, I don't think that's what they're talking about either. I think it was the media that hyped up the whole they want you to tear down your sandcastles thing.
I agree with you.
You know, when you take that little bucket that your kid has and fill it with sand and turn it over and it looks like a part of a castle. I don't think they give a crap about that. I think they give a crap about the lumber being pulled up into the roadway or trenches being dug. And look, the poor little baby turtles, they can't go through those trenches. So
No. I'm going to argue with you on this one because the trenches, 100% of the time, a trench that is dug on the beach, and everybody does it. Everybody does it. Well, that's the first thing you do when you get to the beaches. You dig a hole. You use it for bait. It's a hole for the kids to play in. That's how you get your sand to build your sandcastle. The first thing you do is you dig a hole. And 100% of the time, that hole runs perpendicular to the ocean, not parallel. It's not infringing turtles.
I agree.
It's infringing the drivers is what it's doing. People
But
driving
the
down the
moat
beach.
does. The moat does. If you do a full moat, right, two sides of that moat are not going in the right direction for the turtles. But that's just a silly argument. That's like nitpicking.
And that's one I won't fight. That one I won't fight. The 6-foot parallel moat that is 6 inches deep that will fill in 3 hours. I won't argue on that one.
That's just what I was gonna say. Like Steve said earlier, if you dig your little hole for the kids to play in or whatever within a few feet of the shoreline, it's gonna fill in. It just does. Nobody drives down there unless they're the yahoos that want to drive in the salt water because they think it's cool, right? And they hit a hole away, they hit a hole. But no, I agree. I think it was something that was blown out of proportion. I think the Texas Parks and Wildlife or the Potter Island National Seashore wanted to be like, hey, if don't tear stuff up down there. And if you do, put it back the way it was. And then the media got a hold of the whole sandcastle story, which is we all love sandcastles. They shouldn't be torn down and blew it out of proportion. That's my opinion on it.
I do agree with that. And I will say that, like, I am going to stand firm on my arguments with this. At the same time, it's a really hard line to walk because it's a sandcastle. They're pretty. They're not going to last long. It's not the big thing. The media made it out something that didn't need to be. And I am a big proponent of, pick up after yourself, leave it better than it was when you got there, that sort of thing. It's the sandcastle thing that gets to me. Everything else I'm fine with. It's the sandcastle thing. And I'm animated on this, and I apologize, Steve and Grant. I don't mean to be like I want to hear your thoughts on this. What are your thoughts? You guys don't get to see it too much on the beach like we do, or maybe you do. I don't know, but I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, Grant, if you were driving down here to check out the beach and there was sandcastles, would that upset you?
I mean, I would think some places you can't drive on the beach, right? Is it
this
wide open?
That's what this beach is
one
for.
Of the few places.
Actually a roadway.
Yep. That's one of the attractions in the allure of the area. It's only one of like 3 or 5 beaches in the nation you can drive on.
Yeah. So you got a problem with sandcastles on the beach there, Grant?
I'd say a standard sandcastle's not an issue. Somebody's digging a trench, it's gonna bottom somebody out. If they're in a truck, they should be all right anyways. Right. If it's deep enough to get a truck stuck, probably shouldn't be.
No, it's not about getting stuck. It's about a bumpy ride when they're driving. It's a speed bump on the road, and the speed limit is 20 miles an hour, I believe, or 15, something like that.
It goes back and forth, 15 and 20. Yep.
Yeah. So,
Steve?
Hey, there's Triple Tail. Go ahead, Steve. I want to hear what you got. William, I'm going to hit you up in the chat here.
My opinion is if it's kids out there with their little buckets and they're putting stuff up and making sand castles and they're, digging a little moat around it, let it go. If somebody's out there with a backhoe or excavator making a mountain, then that might be.
They get into it sometimes. They do.
Yeah. I've seen people use lumber and stuff that wash ashore and build like little buildings. Like, of course, there's big old gaps in them and stuff. You're not supposed to do that down there because part of the allure is it's uninhabited. 60-mile stretch, longest uninhabited, undeveloped barrier island in the country. And the lure is you go down there and you see nature and a beach and all that, and all of a sudden you see like somewhat man-made structures out of wood. Yeah, I can understand people saying, hey, that shouldn't be there. But the sandcastles by the kids belongs there.
What surprises me about the wood, the way that the lumber prices is, and I said that over there on the chat a ways ago, is I can't believe with the price of lumber that anybody would leave that stuff behind. They'd be taking it and making something out of it.
Yeah, it's all wash up, But yeah, you're right. Nowadays.
To be fair, there's a contingent of people who actually go down there. They go beach combing. They collect that driftwood, and they make all kinds of arts and crafts and sell it in the galleries down here. That is a big thing that happens.
Up here, and if you look, that
Mike in the house
right there is made out of a piece of driftwood.
There you go.
This walleye, the same thing, a piece of driftwood. So, you know, same thing up here. People scavenge the beach. They're looking for, you know, a slab of something, you know, or a hunk of tree or whatever to make mounts for their fish mounts.
Yep, absolutely. Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Thank you, sir. Toast. Appreciate it. Shots around straight bourbon, except Stanley. Get him a girly shot for his man
What are you
purse.
talking about? I'm drinking whiskey. Get out of here with that. I'm sitting here jumping in on the super champ bandwagon. That's what I'm doing.
Oh, come on. You got to talk a little smack now and then. You said can't argue with that right after he said that. That's perfect timing. Okay. Anybody in the chat over there have, let's see, Triple Tail Sandcastles laugh out loud. I feel like you should leave it as you found it. I think is what
Can't argue with that.
Yeah. Aside from trash. Yeah, especially get the trash out of there. So, you know, that's the way okay, when I go down there, I don't have kids with me, right? It's me or me and Audrey or me and Joel, right? So there's nobody digging holes to play in or any of that. So I wasn't looking for that aspect. I was looking at the aspect of going down there and seeing people bring a bunch of junk up and try to build some contraption, which doesn't need to be down there. But build what you want and then tear it down before you leave, and nobody gives a crap. And if it's wood, take it, because Stanley will pay you money for it.
Yeah.
And if Stanley doesn't, Steve will. Oh, man. Let's see. What else we want to talk about, guys? I got a couple things. I want to talk about Michigan real quick, if you guys don't mind. We'll change the focus. We're going to talk about Michigan DNR has asked muskie fishermen to report their catches. They've got a website for it, DNR's online muskie angler survey. Now, this is not DNR saying you must do this. This is, hey, report the catches for us. And their angle is it helps us research and stuff about muskies. Okay. Steve, what are you feeling?
All I can tell you is when we go fishing out on Erie, specifically Sterling State Park is where we go out of most of the time. And it's happened so many times. We come in to we're done. We come in to put the boat on the trailer, and here comes this DNR guy. It's like a beeline right to our boat or anybody else's boat that's at a dock. And they've got this survey. What did you catch? You know, and they're going down through everything, and they're asking what you caught. Did you catch any walleye? Did you catch any? And one of the questions that they ask is, did you catch a sturgeon? Did you catch a muskie? So they're already asking these questions, at least seems like every doggone, and it's not just that dock, it's other docks too that I've gone to. They've got a guy that comes right out and he asks you what your creel limit is. So, I mean, okay, so do we need to report it to the DNR website too? Or
we get the creel surveys here in Texas too. Not every time we go out and every time, but I've had them hit me up at Calaveras Lake, Bronig Lake, and then down at the coast twice. So it's not maybe as frequent. But I remember what I said. This is voluntary. You don't have to do shit. But they're asking muskie anglers to do it to help them with their data. So
the way I look at it is I'm already doing it when I pull my boat up and I'm already being hit. I'm done, you know.
And you probably are. If you caught a muskie and you tell them, yeah, I caught a muskie this big, this and that, that probably goes to that same data base or whatever that the survey goes to. But I guess they're trying to capture everybody. I don't know. I don't have a problem with it when it's voluntary. What I don't like, Stanley Orchard.
Took a minute, sorry.
Thank you, sir. And now this is hearsay, so don't anybody quote me on this because this is from a person who, well, let's just say this is what I was told. Washington State fishing license. You have to, okay, and remember, this is not my experience, so I don't know the factual. but you have to record every fish you've caught on your license, on your fishing license. And if you go fishing to Lake B, and all of a sudden yesterday you could have caught 5 trout in Lake B. Today, new rule, you cannot catch any trout in Lake B. Okay, that kind of stuff. To me, if that's honest, I wish we had somebody, maybe we do in the chat, somebody from Washington State that can verify or poo-poo on that, because my source is questionable. He's my ex-son-in-law. But to me, that would be ridiculous. I wouldn't want to, here in Texas, have to record every fish I caught. How big is that fishing license? Because some folks, how many crappie can we keep in Texas when we go fishing for a day? 25. So you're going to record 25 crappie on this fishing license? And you send it in at the end of the year.
Yeah, I can't believe that people would do that. When we go to get a new waterfowl stamp, we're questioned at the time that we get our license. How many geese did you shoot? How many ducks did you shoot? And you could lie to them; they would never know. I mean, I don't know where that information helps at all. I don't understand.
I
Grant?
was gonna say the Wright's trapping. He lives in Washington. I was hoping he'd chime in. I don't have a clue.
Oh,
yeah.
Right. If you're in on this, we would love your opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Because that was one. Because when I was a young man in the Army, one of the places I wanted to be stationed was Washington State because of the hunting and fishing. I mean, it's a beautiful state, got all kinds of critters. And I actually, one time when I re-enlisted leaving Germany, I re-enlisted for Washington. I was going to Fort Lewis. I was like, yeah. And then like a month later, they said, hey, we're going to renegotiate your contract. And I ended up in El Paso. So that didn't go so well for me.
Ouch.
Yeah. What a
Ouch.
difference. But now, hearing that story, I'm like,
somebody didn't like you.
Huh? Yeah.
Somebody didn't like you.
Yeah. So now hearing that, though, I'm like, I don't know if I'd ever want to even live in Washington if you got to go through all that just to go fishing.
That's a lot. I don't know what my thoughts are on that because, I mean, I assume it's everywhere else, and maybe I'm just not thinking about it the same way as I'm not just fully comprehending what's going on here. But man, when we pull into the marina, if we've been offshore, we get targeted by T-Paw a lot by the Coast Guard, and they search everything. Yeah. They will tear your boat apart looking for fish. Now, that's not us having to record anything, but they are super, super thorough when it comes to tracking down every little thing that you caught that day. And I mean, they'll look at the fillets of leftover bait that you got on the cutting board.
Just to make sure.
Just to make sure. And you can't do anything about that. There's no way you can tell, if there's skin on it, you're okay, kind of. But if you got a Jack Crevalle and you got a fillet of Jack Crevalle sitting there, there's no way you can prove that wasn't an amberjack.
And see, their problem with that is the rule here in Texas, you're not allowed to fillet keeper fish until you get in, because they want to be able to look at it so that they can say, oh, that is a whatever kind of fish. And yes, it's a legal size or whatever. Now, if you kept the carcass, you probably got some wiggle room because they can, hey, it's this length, so it's a legal size. But yeah, that is the law here.
I don't know if you guys you might have wiggle room, but those guys have more authority than the police down here. I assume that's the same way everywhere else. But if those guys don't want to accept that carcass,
it's not. It's amazing the authority in Texas. The game wardens don't have to have a warrant to search. They can come on your property, into your vehicle, whatever. But in my experience, looking at Northwest Washington and the Northeast Maine, those folks didn't have the same authority. So I think it's based on the state. But if you look, so Wright's Trapping did reply. There's his. We have to report everything we do, and we got some really stupid rules in Washington, and that sums it up. Now, to the point, Stanley, we don't have to take our hunting and fishing licenses here in Texas and record on the back of it every single thing we've caught or, your hunting license. Yeah, you got tags, you got to tag the animal legally and all that. But for fishing, it's like, hey, you can get 3 red drum between the size of 20 and 28 inches. Go for it. And if I show up at the ramp and they check me and I got 3, I'm good. You know what I mean? But I don't have to record all that and then at the end of the year mail my fishing license to somebody to keep.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
I don't understand how you do that, especially when you have bag limits of like 25 per day on a lot of things. I don't understand how you. I mean, that's a massive amount of data.
Yeah, that's why I don't understand it either.
Yeah. So
but Grant, on your best days, when you're able to get out fishing, let's say, be real hypothetical on this one, but it's physically possible and not unrealistic for you to go out fishing 3 or 4 days a week, right? I mean, because it's not the same kind of haul that we would do if we're going offshore. You can go off work and go fishing and bag out on crappie for what, like a 25 fish limit? How many times can you do that? How big of a license would this be to record that kind of catch?
Exactly. That's why I'm saying it doesn't make sense.
right, that's what I was wondering. The Wright's Trapping said we have a catch card for fish, crabs, ducks, geese, and clams. So is that all fish? Yep.
This goes back to when we had argued about before, where you have more of a national level licensing capability.
Yeah.
Yes, there's certain places
that is going to happen.
There's certain places where a 25 crappie limit of 10 inches is fine, and another place that's not doing as well, maybe it should be 10 crappie of 10 inches or 12 inches, whatever, to help them grow. But overall, some of these rules from state to state are just ridiculously different.
Yeah.
Steve.
Yes, sir.
Can you go out on Saginaw Bay, catch 4 walleye, fillet them out on the water, maybe eat a couple of them because you fillet? Thank you. Yeah. So that's the same as Texas. Texas, unless you consume them out there, you cannot fillet your fish until you get back to the shore.
And let's see, there's something to that too, John.
There's a catch to it. You have to have, you can do it because that allows you to cook fish on the beach or when you're offshore, but you have to have a 1 inch by 1 inch square of skin on the fish, and you have to be able to prove the length of that fish. I believe that's how that works out.
Yeah,
so I would keep the carcass.
Yeah, you have to keep the carcass, I do believe.
Now, how you determine that that's the fillet on the carcass, I don't know.
That's true. If something else I filleted and threw overboard, and then I'm saying that's what it came from, that's the hard point. That's why they don't like you filleting them.
We're also not allowed to do what you guys call cut bait. We're not allowed to catch a bluegill or a perch and then cut it into pieces, put it on a hook, and try to catch a pike. I don't know how they'd ever catch you doing it, but you're not allowed. You're not supposed to do that.
You can't throw a cast net either, because I wanted to come up there and
spear.
I wanted to come up there and cast net to get bait to catfish with, and so I went and looked in the regs. You can't even throw a dang cast net up there.
You can,
and they're like that with spear fishing. No. You can spear. That they're real specific. Okay, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I do know that I'm not. The rules that I have seen are very difficult to follow regarding spear fishing, like underwater. I know you can spear like above ground.
I know when I was younger, when I used to scuba dive a lot, I used to spear fish. Whether I did it legally or illegally now, it makes me wonder, because I thought it was just, a fishing license. So I grabbed a spear gun and, head for a dock and start spearing fish. Maybe I was doing something.
You're a criminal. You're admitting it now. They'll be knocking on your door tonight.
I could tell you guys.
Speaking from experience, I think there's a statute of limitations on that one.
I was going to say, I could tell you stories that, I was probably not the most perfect person in my younger days. By far.
Yep.
That's a good question, Danny. But Danny Baker a ceviche, because look, one of my best trips when I was in Cozumel was we went offshore fishing, then we went snorkeling, Then we went to the sandbar. We're drinking. They're giving us drinks. And with the fish we caught, they made ceviche, fresh ceviche, and we ate it with crackers right there, standing in water with stingrays swimming around us. It was awesome. But then I thought about it. Well, I'd like to do that. But guess what? You can't really legally, at least here in Texas, do that unless, like Stanley said, you keep some skin from that fish, you keep the carcass so they can measure everything. And again, Stanley said it too. They have a lot of leadway, at least the ones here in Texas, where you watch one game warden give somebody a ticket for something, and the next game warden said, hey, I gave them a warning because I didn't actually see it, type thing. So,
not to mention, it's a different rule if you're 8.5 miles out versus 9.5 miles versus whatever the international line is.
9 miles out is international, and that's what.
No, that's national. Federal is after that.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I know the international is 9 miles out, right?
9 miles out is Canada.
It's
federal.
It's state water, and then national, and then international. And I don't know what the national water is. I don't know what that
waters is federal. Let's call it that. So you got state to 9 miles, and then after that you got federal water. So
and then you have international after that, which is a different set of rules.
Will brought up the whole they can't, figure out whether you caught it in federal or state. But when we're talking, that really applies to red snapper. And so we did bring that up, 2 or 3 episodes ago where we clarified, because I read the rule straight from Texas Parks and Wildlife. So you're allowed 2 of a certain size in federal waters. I'm not going to say the sizes that I don't remember. And then you're allowed 4 of a certain size in state waters. But the state, Texas Parks and Wildlife, said don't come in with more than 4. Right? Because that solves that whole issue for them. You've got 4. The state size limit is smaller than the federal. So if you caught 2 in federal at that size limit, they're legal state, but they don't want you coming. So you can't say we caught these 2 in federal water and these 4 in state water. Texas Parks and Wildlife is going to fine you.
Do they have anything like that on the Great Lakes? Water boundaries.
Canada,
yeah, you're right.
Oh, that's what I just said a minute ago. We got 9 miles out is Canada. And that's not even true, because like if we're fishing on the Detroit River, and the Detroit River is
closer,
8 miles wide, about 4 miles out is Canada. And we're not allowed right now. We're not allowed to be in Canadian waters. They've closed it down to anyone, especially anybody that's not Canadian. And they had some rules about the Canadians. They weren't even letting their own people go off of certain boat ramps. So now
I would like to hear more about this.
When we're able to go to Canada in the Canadian waters, catching walleye or whatever, then you need to see. I think their limit is like 6 and ours is 5. So how do they know that you didn't catch that 5th one, 6th one, whatever? How can they prove where you caught it? So
Danny said they can
thing
tell.
up at Saginaw Bay too, Saginaw River. There's a place where they can be 13, and or another place they got to be 15. And I think it's called at the Tittabawassee River, or the bridge. How do they know if you caught that 15-inch fish on which side of the bridge? Yeah. I don't understand how they can.
It's got to be a judgment call. Danny's saying they could tell by checking your GPS tracks at the dock. And he's talking more offshore, but still, there's no rule that you have to have GPS capability on your boat. So if you don't have GPS,
but they can check it if you have it.
Right. And secondly, I doubt each of these game wardens are versed in every type, Lowrance, Garmin, Humminbird, all these different types of graphs that you have to figure out how to check the GPS on. So that one, I think you could argue.
Pete Pappas says no size limit for walleye in Lake Erie.
Ooh,
I don't understand that one, Pete. I've always kept anything that's 15 inches. Anything less than
that's Huron. That's Saginaw Bay is 15 inches. No, 13 inches.
13 in Saginaw Bay.
Yeah, they lowered it.
So, Pete, tell me what you mean by that.
So, going back to where they tell where you're at. Well, so down here on the coast right now, because of the freeze, they lowered the limit and raised the size requirement for speckled trout, right? If you're in the Laguna Madre, it's one thing. If you go past the causeway, right, north of the causeway, it's different. Well, if you're fishing that area around the causeway, left or right of it, how are they, unless they're sitting there, got the binos on you, see you catching them trout, how are they going to know what trout you caught on which side of that causeway?
That's just like, I experienced that in Wisconsin last year. That's just like you guys, Steve and Grant. You guys have rules where it's like on one side of the bridge you can use live bait for trout, and on the other side, like artificials or no artificials or something like that, right? Like, have y'all seen those rules?
I don't have anything.
How do they enforce that?
No, I've not seen anything like that either.
Oh, really? That was we fished a spot like that in Wisconsin where it was on one side you could use live bait, on the other you couldn't, or something like that. No, or you could use artificials.
I've seen rivers like that, trout rivers especially, where there's a certain section they call it the trophy, and if you're fishing in that section, you can only use lures, no bar or barbless hooks, right? But typically that's when they're sitting there watching you, you know.
I see what Pete Pappas is saying now. He was responding about what's legal in Canadian waters. You guys see that down there in the chat?
So how do you prove when you pull into that dock on the U.S. side that you caught them walleye in the Canadian waters?
They got to believe you, John. I mean, we're all honest people.
Or just not believe you and say you're on the U.S. side now, you're busted. I don't know. That's just so confusing, some of that stuff.
Yeah, the biggest thing we have here in relation is the Ohio River on the border of, we've got Illinois on my side, Kentucky on the other side. For some reason, Kentucky actually owns most of the river, according to the map and the game warden. So pretty much anywhere on the Ohio should have a Kentucky fishing license. Hey, Rachel.
Hello, Rachel.
Hi, Rachel. Pete expanded on that. He said, don't stop in Michigan waters with a 9-inch walleye in the live well. That's where the problem starts.
So if you're fishing out of Michigan, you go to the Canadian side, you better stick to the Michigan size limits, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense. Texas, Louisiana border. Yeah, Danny, that any borders, any water borders can be questionable because you can say we caught them here. But I think their argument probably is where you come ashore with it. Oh, you caught those in Louisiana? Well, you're in Texas now, brother. And in Texas, the size limit or whatever is different. You know what I mean? I could kind of see that being their argument.
Jeff Bottom.
Yeah, they will get you on the water. They will check you on the water.
Oh, yeah.
On the Pier Marquette in Michigan, there are fly-only zones. You can't be witnessed using something else or you will be fined.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're like that with snapper down here. You got to use a circle hook only for snapper. And if you use anything else, they're going to get you. But who's sitting there watching you fish for snapper?
Yeah. But when you come in and you have snapper and then they check your gear and you got 0 circle hooks, they might get you then.
I lost my circle hook on the last fish. It took my hook.
They ain't going to believe you.
I'm an honest person.
Guys,
why wouldn't they believe me?
Just be aware my power is flickering. There's a storm blowing by. So if I go black, if everything goes out, just understand that's what's going on. It's just going to be like week number 4 of, this heinous, technical difficulties.
Don't do it. We're doing so good, Stanley.
I know. And this is such a fun conversation, too. I'm enjoying it.
And I literally came and said, I have news. We had a thunderstorm. We're babysitting. No worries.
Okay. So Rachel's just now hopping in on this. So she's going to hear on this. She'll have her weigh in just a second.
Pete, that's only works if you have GPS. There's nothing saying you have to have GPS on your boat. I'm just saying.
Oh,
Triple Tail just lost power.
uh-oh.
Yeah,
We got a storm blowing through, but it's supposed to pass us, but it's blowing through just a couple miles away, so it might hit our power. I don't know. Beeville's power is crap.
Oh, so great.
Sometimes things like not having power and internet can be nice. I mean, this last weekend where I was at, no internet. It was, well, spotty. It was great. Nobody could
not
get a hold of
having
me.
power sucks. I don't care what you say. Not having internet, yeah, I can survive that, but not having power sucks.
Well, it
Then
was
you
fine.
got no electric stove, you got no AC, and it's 100 effing degrees. So yeah, I'll take no internet over no power.
Yeah, it was kind of nice.
So Danny says it's crazy in Colorado too, and I've seen some of that in northern New Mexico the same way. And most of that, Danny, correct me if I'm wrong, goes because of trout. There's certain areas where they want it. Hey, put a treble hook on, some kind of little punch bait or whatever, and throw it out there and let the kids catch trout to eat. Oh, but in this section of the river, you will use only lures with no barbs, right? And it's a trophy section for people to catch those really big trout. So yeah, that's kind of, and we even have that here in Texas, believe it or not, on the Guadalupe River right here by me for trout. Rattle Trap's in the house. What's up, Rattle Trap?
What's up, man?
I'm all right, Rattle Trap. How you doing? So I wanted to get back to what Stanley said earlier about Michigan trip. I'm not planning on doing any kind of fishing I've done before. I'm planning on trying to catch walleye.
Ooh, okay.
So,
That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. I got to talk to Leonard still, but I think the plan is
That's right. I
this is
forgot
just
about
vague. Steve coming up from where he's at, and Steve, we're not saying be there at 4 a.m. in Au Gres. So
No, I won't be there at 4 a.m.
Right.
But
Be there.
Chris and I will probably
thank
leave
God.
at 4:30 in the
I'm so
morning.
tired.
And I don't know who's going to jump in the boat with me, but definitely. I know it won't be John because he'll be in somebody else's boat. But we got room
Or
for
driving
two.
the boat.
It'll be a little bit crowded, but we'll get by.
I think we'll be good. Here's what I'm looking at, and this is just my opinion right now. I have had the pleasure of fishing with this man already down there. And I've had the pleasure of fishing with that guy and that young lady actually over there.
I made him eat fish eggs.
And it was delicious. I have not fished with that guy over there. So I'm
I
kind
know,
of
yeah.
leaning towards maybe Grant and the wifey being on the boat with me and Stanley and Rachel being on the boat with you, but we can figure that out.
I'll take that any day. I said it before and I'll say it again. I would love to put Grant on his first walleye. I would. But I'm just happy taking Stanley and Rachel out too. So I'm fine
You
with
know
either
what? I'm not even going to lie. This is going to be fun. I'm super, super looking forward to this. I can't tell you how excited I am. But the part that I'm most looking forward to is dinner afterwards with everybody. Like, I don't even care about whatever hangover is happening the next day. I can't wait just to have a great day with you guys.
It'll be fun.
We of course we haven't planned any of this for everybody who's watching, but I foresee us all coming in with plenty of walleye. And that okay, behave, John. Going to that awesome cleaning station they have in Au Gres, flaying them up, going back to the house with Leonard and all them there, setting up the fish fry and cooking up a bunch of fresh walleye for everybody.
Do you want me to bring? Do you want me to bring some just in case we strike out?
Like you did last time?
We caught one. We caught one. Dang
We caught one.
I'm game for the sheep heads.
That's what I was going to say. You know what? Don't bring any. We're up for the challenge. We're going to catch and cook. Hopefully it's walleye.
I think it's all or nothing.
But if it's sheep's head and catfish, then we're going to cook up some sheep's head and catfish.
Yep, I agree.
Well, Stanley and Rachel, since most likely it looks like you're going to be in my boat, just a couple things. Chris doesn't like people.
Then he just became my favorite person in the world.
Buddy, I'm sure after a while he'll warm up to you.
He smiles now. I saw that on the last video he was on. So
yep. And the other thing too is I'm sure when we know there's a fish on, we're just going to be handing the rod to you guys, and you bring them in, we'll net them.
Yeah, Grant on the boat. You and Janet are the anglers. If Leonard's driving, then he's the captain. I'll be the first mate. And if he's not, then I'll be driving. And again, you guys are reeling them in. We'll go over the first time we set them up, how to put the planer boards on and all that fun stuff. And then after that, y'all fishing. And
Pete Pappas asks, when do you plan on launching out of Au Gray? Right now, Pete, it's kind of the weekend. We don't know if it's going to be the Saturday or the Sunday. We're kind of watching weather, right, guys? And that the plan?
Right now, primary Saturday, but based on weather, it could be Sunday.
The 25th, 26th?
I'm getting there right now. Yeah, 25th and 26th. That's the weekend of September.
No, it's not.
No, I'm sorry.
June. Wait a second.
I'm looking at my.
How did you mix those up?
I've got multiple trips planned. Okay.
Grant, you better
look at big Mr. YouTuber over here.
Grant, you better just.
I don't remember which trip you guys are. I just listened to the itinerary as presented by my administrator.
Grant's going to be in the dock in June waiting for John to show up in September.
26th and 27th?
Yep.
Okay. Of June. Jesus, H. Criminy.
Like 13 days, 12 days.
Yeah. Yeah, it's close. It's real close.
Rice Trapping said if they don't turn in their report card each year, they're charged $10. Don't turn in.
That's interesting. You said they're charged $10
for not turning it in.
So that's a weird and arbitrary thing to get charged. I would think. I would think it would, like, down here it'd be like $100 fine, but just to get charged $10 for not filling it out.
And it's almost like, oh, good, I don't have to fill it out. Here's the extra $10 for my license, basically.
But yeah, that's exactly how I feel. It's like $10 is I get the license without the work.
Yeah. And folks, in Michigan, we can get a 1-day temp out-of-state license. So it's no big deal. You can get a 2-day. Well, yeah, we're going to need a 2-day just in case. So we'll get a 2-day so it covers Saturday and Sunday.
I got to throw something in here before we run out of time because I'm pretty proud of this accomplishment that we did this weekend at Crappie Camp. We raised enough money between the camp that Jeff Bottom did in 2019 and the camp that we just did that we're going to be able to donate $1,500 to a nonprofit organization called Autism Anglers.
That's awesome.
We're pretty tickled about that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I was going to set up a donation thing on this. I didn't know,
I did the Mark Rober thing at school.
We need to get that together. We need to get it together where we do a donation thing on these live streams for stuff like that, because that was a pretty big deal. And those are good numbers, man. I would have been proud to have been a part of that.
Yeah, we had between like I said, Jeff Bottom and Jerry Stifler did their camp in 2019, and they didn't donate any of their money. And then we just got done with ours, and we raised $1,410 this weekend.
Dang.
Take that into what Jerry and Jeff made in 2019. I think it came up to $2,094 between the two. So we're going to donate $1,500, and that still leaves, I think, $594, if my math is right, for the 2022 camp to have a start. So
very cool.
I'm just proud as heck that we were able to pull it off and donate a good chunk of money.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'll agree to that.
Steve.
Yeah.
Audrey wanted to know if Judy was going to let her mix her a drink again.
Judy's not coming up.
Oh, Judy's not coming, Audrey.
Nope, it's
She's sad now.
Yep. Judy's mom is here up from Florida, and somebody has to stay home and watch the puppies. So it just works out that Chris is going to be coming with me. And Chris, I gotta say this about Chris. He knows my boat, and he knows how to get things set up. It's so doggone good. All I got to do is drive the boat, and he starts putting out stuff on both sides of the boat. It just works really well with Chris in the boat. So, not that I wouldn't love to have my wife along, but I can't make it.
All right, that's acceptable. If she changes her mind and you find a dog sitter, she's more than welcome to come up. And if she can't fit on your boat, she'll fit on Leonard's boat because it can hold a few more people.
Okay, I will tell her.
Okay, good. All right. Are we done talking about the trip to Michigan?
No. We can move on to a different subject, but I am not done talking about this.
Are we getting a lot of feedback, or is that just me?
I'm hearing it too. How's the chat? Are y'all hearing a lot of feedback?
Yeah, me too.
Is it me again? Do I need to go away?
What's
Actually,
funny
you're the
is-
only one that's not.
We
Yeah.
have hail going on outside. You can see like the tree.
everybody's giving feedback except Steve, but he's had a capability before where he's affected everybody else. So
Except himself. I know your game.
I don't
he's
hear
trying to take us all down. Is it
Sounds
gone now?
think so.
I still heard it when you talked.
I can hear something.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it?
Let's run with it for a second, see if we can single it out, and we'll get it fixed up.
Yeah, exactly.
All part of the game.
Hey, talking about trips. How do you guys plan a fishing trip? So for me, local trips are ooh, that's got really bad there. It's really bad. You want me to pop off and see if it's me? I'm gonna pop off and you guys talk for a little bit and see what happens.
Any better?
It wasn't me.
Probably me. I'll leave.
Don't go all the way. All right. Grant talk. Okay, Stanley talk. Stanley. Stanley, can you hear me now? Stanley, I think it's you. I think it's you. Yeah. Pop out and come back. All right. Grant, talk. I think it's Stanley. It's you, Stanley. Somebody type in there for Stanley to pop out.
Can he not hear us?
Can't hear us.
Oh, it's you. You.
All right, everybody talk.
That sounds
Hello.
better already.
Yeah, it was Stanley this time, boys. Sorry, folks. This crap happens.
Every time.
Kayla Williamson, my daughter, is in the house. How you doing, Kayla?
Hey, Kayla.
Kayla.
He's back
Sorry
now.
about that.
We're all good.
All right.
I'm a little slow. On the technical stuff.
We do have hail outside too.
So you started talking about how you plan a fishing trip.
Yeah, so I was talking about, so local trips are kind of easy. I want to go fishing this coming Saturday. I look at the weather. Weather's good. I go fishing Saturday. But if I want to go to the coast, right, it's got to be, okay, I got to get lodging. So that, you got to get lodging about a month out. And then you got to get everything planned to go. And then typically for us, when we get there, the weather could still suck, but you're there. So you got to suck it up. So what do you guys do about all that?
That's kind of our thing is if there's a weather window, I'll now be like, okay, we're gonna go. It's gonna be Friday, which is usually on Thursday. They call me to tell me.
Yeah, like a couple hours before.
Which is cool because we don't always know. And it's like you said, you get there and it's chocolate milk. We had an awesome day offshore on Saturday, and then the rest of the week we had sharks and surf. It was great, but there was no way we're getting offshore with everybody. It just wasn't going to work out.
The majority of time for us, we're always watching the weather window. And when it's been calm, when we have like that comfortable, like what we're seeing right now it's dead flat after having been rough all week. So I'm expecting any minute now. I'm going to get a phone call for like the next 72 hours. I'm waiting minute by minute to get a phone call from my dad. Hey, call in sick. We're going fishing tomorrow. And that phone call typically happens at like 10 o'clock at night.
But you guys are a little closer to the coast than I am.
Right. And it's like you said, though, when they were here, we're going to surf fish. We're going to surf every single spot. And every spot we've got stuff on, we've got a good spot, we'll stay with that. And I'm always like, let's do this place, let's do this place. And they always get mad at me. I'm like, let's just try it. Why not? I know. They never do. I'm like, as long as you have a good gut, a good cut, and you have a nice cross current, you're going to get something. And always you're going to get widened, which guess what? Makes it tougher. And makes it tougher.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I always know when they're going to bite, what time they're going to bite, and what we're going to get. So, but other than that, I agree with you, son. Where are you going to stay? You start getting something good, and we got to drive an hour and a half home. 2 hours.
Yeah.
An hour and a half.
Grant, where's the farthest you travel typically to go fishing?
Typically 15 to 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's local.
I wish we had something like that. I wish it was 15 minutes. Yeah, we're planning an hour out drive, so it makes it rough.
See, for me, freshwater, 30 minutes, I can be at Calaveras, Browning. 45 minutes, I can be at Canyon Lake.
I envy that a lot.
But the coast, which I would prefer to fish, it's a good, pulling the boat about 3 hours.
She's a crawler.
It's 2 hours for us. When Chris and I go on either Saginaw or Erie, it doesn't matter. It's 2 hours. And I just watch the weather prior to that, watch the wind, see what's supposedly going to happen. And but like if I go down to Florida to go fish down in Stuart, Florida, I go down for 3-4 days, and there's been times I go down and Floyd and I we don't fish until here's our window of opportunity.
Yeah.
Now if you go down there for you got it like a day or two and you got bad weather, you're kind of screwed. But if you can stretch that out, yeah, like what I'm able to do. And I've been down there before. We've gone out fishing 3 days because they've all been good. But you can't fight Mother Nature. If you got crappy weather, well, what are you going to do? Go to the bait shops, go hang out there, go to the bar, go have some dinner, stuff like that. That's about it, So.
Yeah, that's what I've kind of the last couple trips of mine that have been destroyed by the weather. I'm learning. Try to make it to where you can go somewhere for 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
This 2 or 3 day window, the last trip to Florida, for example, it doesn't work. If the weather's up, you don't usually have like 1 day of bad weather and then it's nice the day before and after. There's usually a couple days of built up bad weather. So that's what I got to work on. Those trips to Florida or wherever, I got to try to expand the length of the trip, knowing that it might be a 5-day trip and I only fish 1 or 2 days. But that's better than a 2-day trip where the weather's absolutely horrible for fishing.
Well, most often when we go to Florida, Judy's family lives down in Orlando. So if we go to Florida, it's usually more than a couple of days. It's usually a week. It's kind of like a vacation. So we'll figure out a good day. I'll get a hold of Floyd and I'll drive. It's like 2.5 hours from Orlando to Stuart. And I'll just drive down, we'll fish for the day, and I'll come back. So that's what I've done a couple times. You pick your weather when you're down there. I'm lucky that way that I've got a place when I go down, I stay. But like with you guys, you go down, you got to have a place, a motel and all that stuff. Right. And you're kind of restricted to the amount of days that you can fish.
Yeah, and you got to reserve those in advance so you don't know what the weather's going to be like. 3 months from now when you're making a reservation. So
yeah,
that part sucks.
Not to mention, it's luck of the draw. We just had this last week where Rachel's family planned 6 months in advance. They were coming down this week.
Exactly.
And it was rough. It was 5-foot surf. It was 20-mile-an-hour winds. And 2 days after they left, it's now dead flat 6-mile-an-hour winds and 1-foot surf. Like they missed perfect conditions by 1 week. You know, there's nothing you can do about that. It's just
I
like
missed it by a day. Yeah.
Right, exactly. The day we get there, we were in bag out snapper. To me, that's like him getting walleye for us and having that for dinner.
All right. Yeah.
Whoa, where'd Grant go?
He's got to go let the dog in or out, probably. He's home alone, taking care of the dogs.
Man, it's like somebody shot a gun and he had to run.
All right, real quick, folks. We're at the 1 hour and 2 minute mark. It's time to shut down, but I wanted every person on the panel here talk to Milton real quick. He says, in regards of fishing on land, river, or lake, freshwater, what are the ultra must-dos for beginners? And I will start with time on water, right? Go often and talk to other fishermen that are fishing the same area and pick up from them baits, tackle, setups. That's my answer. Next.
Mr. Milton, I am going to give you the absolute most perfect YouTube response that I can physically do, and I'm not going to be wrong. If you want to get into fishing on land, river, or lakes, freshwaters, the ultra must-do number one thing you should do is subscribe to this gentleman and that guy because they have the absolute most 100% wonderful content in regards to that you could physically find on the internet.
Good answer, Stanley.
That's what I did.
I'd say you could probably find a fishing video of wherever you wanted to go. Get some tips and
yeah, search YouTube for a video of wherever it is you're fishing. Steve?
I would say, what do you want to fish for? You said you're going river fishing, okay? So what species, is there a species that you want to target, or do you just want to catch fish in general?
He's
so
in South America.
Oh, South America. I guess I got no answer for that. I've never been there. I wouldn't know what to do. Maybe I should go look at some videos.
I like videos, and I like go and talk to local fishermen, the place you want to fish, right? And watch them and learn from them.
Yeah.
That is the big one. Yeah, learn from the locals.
Yeah,
I'd agree.
The locals are going to know it all, period, bar none.
All right, folks. I hate to shut us all down when we're having so much fun, but it is time to go. We got to get up out of here. And so, real quick, Stanley, what you got coming up? Anything exciting and new real soon?
Yeah, last week I filmed an entire summer's worth of content. I've got videos coming out twice a week for the entire rest of summer. So I got all kinds of stuff. You name it, we got it. We got a fun couple weeks ahead of us. Plus Michigan coming up in Wisconsin.
Yes.
Good stuff.
Grant, what you got?
That's right.
looking forward to the Michigan trip.
Yes. Steve?
I didn't do any filming at all for this past weekend crappie camp. It did not work at all. What have I got planned? Well, Father's Day is a big thing for us. My sons have been fishing with me on Father's Day ever since they were toddlers. It's just a tradition. So this Father's Day, my two sons and my two grandsons and old dad here is going to go fishing.
Awesome. For me, I'm looking forward to the trip to Michigan, of course. But tomorrow morning, I've got to get up at 3 a.m. and get wife, daughter, and grandbabies to the airport so they can all get up to Connecticut to get the grandbabies back to their mom. So I need to get to bed pretty soon. So I think that's it, folks. Until next time, where are we at next time? Is it Grant's house? Grant. And folks, I'm going to just say it right here, right now, real quick. The weekend after next, when we're all four in Michigan, there might be a pop-up live stream where all four of us are at the same place at the same time. 6 of us, 8 of us, however many of us get in front of the camera.
All crammed into one frame instead of these 4. Or should we inherently just do the 4 screens just for the sake of continuity?
No, let's just stay back further. One big screen.
Right, I don't mind cuddle huddle.
We will see you all next week over at Grant's house. Peace out.